Welcome aboard. The night is perfectly still. The train is waiting at the quiet platform. Soft smoke rises gently toward the stars. Everything is ready for our departure. You are about to embark on a very peaceful journey. There is no rush here. Time now moves in a slow manner. Find your most comfortable position. Feel the gentle support beneath your body. Relax your shoulders. Take a deep and slow breath. The lights in the carriage are warm and soft. The interior is crafted from dark and polished wood. The velvet on the seats is soft to the touch. Leave all worries of the day behind. This space is safe and entirely peaceful. You're going to travel through time and space. Just listen to the sound of the engine waking up slowly. You step into your private compartment. The space measures exactly 2 meters in width. It is perfectly symmetrical and welcoming. A small brass lamp is lit upon the table. It casts a golden and steady glow. The walls are paneled in dark mahogany. The faint scent of beeswax and old wood is in the air. On the table, there is an antique pocket watch. It marks the hours with precision. The sound of the ticking is soft. It blends with the initial rhythm of the train wheels. The train begins to move. The motion is almost unnoticeable. It is a gentle and continuous rocking. The station platform begins to slide backward. The lights of the city slowly fade away. You are safe inside your haven. The outside world begins to disappear into the darkness. The train gains a steady and moderate speed. The steel wheels meet the joints of the tracks. The sound is repetitive and predictable. Click-clack. Click-clack. This exact rhythm repeats every few seconds. It is a constant cadence that calms the mind. There are no variations in the sound. It is a purely mechanical and monotonous melody. The sway of the carriage to the left and to the right is minimal. It functions like an old cradle. Your muscles begin to relax with this movement. Through the cracks of the window, the night breeze brings the fresh scent of pine trees. The forest stretches for miles around the railway line. You watch the ticking of the clock. It matches the rhythm of the wheels. Everything works in perfect harmony. Physical fatigue begins to turn into a light sleep. Looking through the double-paned window, the landscape transforms. The train now crosses a wide, open valley. A silver mist covers the ground like a soft carpet. The fog moves very slowly with the faint wind. The distant hills look like dark silhouettes against the starry sky. The moon illuminates the tops of the trees with a pale light. There are no artificial lights in the valley. No roads or houses are visible. Just untouched and silent nature. The train is the only moving element in this vastness. The regularity of the landscape is calming. The trees pass by one at regular intervals. They look like silent sentinels guarding your sleep. Your eyes begin to feel heavy. The contrast between the cold of the valley and the warmth of your compartment is perfect. You feel deeply protected. The sound of the train changes subtly in tone. The sound becomes deeper and echoes softly. The train is crossing an old stone arch bridge. The structure was built in the 19th century with massive blocks of gray granite. Each arch measures exactly 12 meters in height. Below the bridge, river flows, the water of the river is like a dark mirror. It perfectly reflects the yellow lights from the train windows. The reflection creates a golden line moving across the water. The train moves with extreme caution over the bridge. The motion is slow, safe, and steady. Every gear works in a smooth manner. The mind accepts this rhythm without effort. The weight of fatigue spreads through your arms and legs. You close your eyes for a few seconds, just listening to the echo of the stones. Outside your compartment, the carriage corridor is completely deserted. The floor is covered by a long carpet of thick wool. The pattern of the carpet displays repetitive geometric shapes in shades of dark red and gold. Small brass sconces are fixed to the walls every 3 meters. They emit a soft light that illuminates the polished wood. The shadows move in a subtle way with the swaying of the train. Narrow windows run along the entire left side of the corridor. Through them, the darkness of the night appears motionless. The interior of the train remains perfectly warm and insulated from the wind. The silence here is profound, interrupted only by the muffled sound of the wheels on the tracks. It is a comforting acoustic isolation. Every detail was designed for rest and no one walks down the corridor. All the passengers are tucked away in their spaces. The atmosphere of tranquility is absolute and contagious. Your body absorbs the stillness. The train reduces its speed in a gradual and gentle manner. It stops without any jolt at a tiny village station. It is a technical stop, silent and brief. The stone platform measures less than 30 meters in length. There are no passengers waiting. A single cast iron lantern illuminates the wooden sign with the name of the place. The paint on the sign is slightly worn by time. The mountain mist drifts over the tracks lined with small gray gravel stones. The white steam from the locomotive escapes slowly, rising toward the dark tiled roof of the station. The silence of the sleeping village enters through the cracks. It is a rural stillness, deep and ancient. The entire world seems to be sleeping at this very moment. The engineer checks the pressure gauges with calmness. Everything is in perfect order. The train prepares to resume its steady path through the night. The train moves again, regaining its monotonous rhythm. The railway line now runs parallel to the shore of a large lake of dark waters. The water is perfectly still, without any waves. The surface of the lake functions as a monumental mirror. The full moon is positioned high in the sky, reflecting a column of silver and perfect light on the water. The reflection follows the motion of the train. The silhouettes of the trees on the opposite shore look hand-painted against the horizon. The sound of the wheels gains a soft echo due to the proximity of the water. Click-clack. Click-clack. The regularity of this sound functions like a countdown to sleep. Each beat drifts active thoughts away from your mind. The mind becomes as flat and calm as the lake. Your eyes follow the golden line of the windows reflected in the water. The rhythm is steady. The swaying is safe. Rest is closer and closer. The train makes a gentle and long curve to the left. Looking through the compartment window, it is possible to see the front part of the black iron locomotive. It moves forward with strength and stability. Large clouds of white steam are expelled from the chimney at regular intervals. The steam rises into the cold night air and dissipates slowly among the bright stars. It is a purely motion of the curve is gentle and enfolds your body. The feeling of safety is complete and comforting. Further down the train, the dining car is bathed in a cozy twilight. The dinner service ended many hours ago. The square tables are covered with perfectly ironed white linen tablecloths. On each table, there is a symmetrical arrangement of silver cutlery and cut crystal glasses. A small porcelain vase holds a dried flower. Everything is clean, organized, and motionless. The dark wooden chairs are aligned with millimeter precision under the tables. The crystal chandelier on the ceiling is turned off, but it catches the reflection of the moonlight coming through the large side windows. The room exudes a silent and peaceful order. There are no conversations, no footsteps, no rush. Just the physical space moving through the silent territory of the night. This atmosphere of order and repose influences your state of mind. Your thoughts slow down completely. Deep sleep continues to approach in a natural way. The train passes through a section of side tracks. The sound of the wheels changes slightly in rhythm for a few moments. It is a smooth and mechanical transition. The steel switches guide the train with precision. The metal parts were cast in solid iron. They are lubricated regularly to ensure a perfect glide. There's no unnecessary friction. The engineering works in silence. The characteristic click-clack gains a more double tone. Afterward, the original rhythm establishes itself again. The train continues on its main line, heading northbound on the outside. The signaling posts pass by at exact intervals. They blink a steady green light through the fog. The route is entirely clear and safe. You follow the rhythm mentally. Each metallic beat clears your mind of worries. Your body merges with the motion of the carriage. You feel incredibly calm. Behind the dining car, there is a small space dedicated to reading. A tiny onboard library for nightly travelers. The space features 2 armchairs made of brown leather worn by time. The dark wooden shelves hold old encyclopedias and hardcover books. The titles are in golden letters, almost faded away. The scent of old paper and leather fills the air. A small desk lamp casts a circle of amber light onto the carpet. No one is reading at this time of night. The books remain aligned in their original positions. The insulation of this carriage is total. The walls are padded with heavy fabrics to muffle external sound. The environment invites silence and peaceful contemplation. The swaying of the train here feels even gentler. It is a haven within another haven. Your eyes close for a few seconds, imagining the static pages of the books. The locomotive enters a long tunnel carved into the solid rock of the mountain. The exterior sound disappears instantly. It is replaced by a deep and reverberating echo. The tunnel was built manually by workers in the last century. Its raw stone walls are dark and damp. The darkness outside the window is now absolute. Inside your compartment, the reflection on the glass transforms. You see only the cozy interior of your cabin and the soft glow of the brass lamp. The echo of the wheels on the tracks is rhythmic and hypnotic within the enclosed space. It is a cavernous sound, wrapping the train like an extra protective layer. This moment of total darkness outside brings a deep feeling of privacy. The outside world has been completely excluded. There is only you, the train, and sleep. train emerges from the tunnel with gentleness. The landscape has changed completely on the outside. The valley is covered by a thick layer of fresh and untouched snow. The moonlight reflects on the white snow, creating a silver and serene glow that illuminates the entire region. The sky is clear, displaying thousands of distant stars. The sound of the train changes again, becoming muffled by the presence of snow beside the tracks. The click-clack now sounds softer, as if it were padded. The locomotive moves forward without effort to the cleared line. The contrast between the cold snow and the internal warmth of the cabin is comforting. You adjust yourself better under the blankets. The whiteness of the valley conveys a feeling of purity and absolute peace. Nothing moves in a snowy vastness. Only the train follows its predictable and calm path. In the central lounge car, a large wooden grandfather clock is secured to the structural wall. The polished brass pendulum swings from side to side in a slow manner. The swing occurs exactly once per second. Left, right, left, right. The sound of wood and metal working together is soft and comforting. This clock functions independently of the motion of the train. It keeps track of time with absolute precision, oblivious to the speed or geography of the journey. The constancy of the pendulum mimics the rhythm of your resting heartbeat. Time does not rush here. It just flows in a serene and predictable way. Your thoughts align with the mechanical swing of the clock. Everything is in order. Time works in favor of your rest. Deep sleep is very close. In the upper left corner of your window, there is a polished brass latch. The mechanism features a strap of thick leather to adjust the glass opening. The metal displays a dark patina created by time. Every detail was machined with industrial precision many decades ago. The central screw measures exactly 5 millimeters in diameter. The engineering of the past was made to last forever. The window remains fully closed against the cold night air. There are no vibrations in the heavy glass. The acoustic insulation creates a perfect and safe microclimate inside the compartment. The stability of these small objects conveys a sense of structural order. Everything in the carriage occupies its correct place for a logical reason. The physical world is stable and predictable. You rest your head on a soft feather pillow. Your gaze gets lost in the geometric shapes of the metal latch. Your eyes feel heavy, responding to the monotony of the environment. Parallel to the train tracks, a line of old telegraph poles stretches through the darkness. The poles are made of dark, treated wood. They pass by the window at perfectly regular intervals. The copper wires connect distant cities that are already fast asleep. They rise and fall in a constant mathematical curve between each pole. It is a continuous and repetitive visual pattern. The full moon illuminates the porcelain insulators on top of each wooden structure. They glow like tiny white pearls in the dark night. Nothing interrupts this linear sequence. This visual repetition functions as a natural metronome for your eyes. One pole passes, then another, always at the same rhythm and at the same constant speed. Your mind accepts this sequence without any intellectual effort. The data flow is minimal and relaxing. The need to think disappears completely, making room for sleep. Beneath the upholstered seat, the cast iron radiator heater emits a gentle and steady warmth. The radiator operates using steam generated produces no noise or popping, just an invisible flow of cozy air wrapping around your legs and feet. This thermal sensation of protection is fundamental for deep muscle relaxation. The body understands that the environment is entirely safe and controlled against the winter outside. You pull the heavy wool blanket up to your chin. The physical comfort is absolute. The mind surrenders to the pleasant inertia created by the continuous heat. The snowy valley is left behind as the train enters an old oak forest. The centennial trees have thick trunks and twisted branches that partially cover the starry sky. The moonbeams filter through the dry branches, creating long and static shadows on the snow beside the tracks. The scenery is one of peaceful and solemn immobility. The sound of the wheels on the tracks acquires a more muffled and deep tone due to the density of the surrounding vegetation. The click-clack resonates like a slow heartbeat in the darkness. The locomotive moves forward with its usual mechanical authority, clearing its way without rush among the static nature. There are no other sounds in the forest, just the calm passage of the train. The stability of the route brings peace. The path has been traveled thousands of times before, always with the same safety and chronometric precision. You close your eyes, trusting the journey. At the far end of the very last carriage of the train, a single cast iron lantern hangs on the exterior wall. It emits a steady and soft red light that illuminates the tracks left behind. The polished steel rails gleam under the moonlight, stretching in two perfect parallel lines toward the invisible horizon. The train leaves behind the path already traveled. The lantern sways minimally in a rhythmic way, following the oscillatory motion of the carriage. It is a subtle pendular movement that marks the steady progress of our travel through time. The distance between the train and the start of the journey increases every second, in a gentle and inevitable manner. The immediate past dissolves into the dark mist of the deep mountain. All that matters now is the present moment and the continuous movement toward repose. The mind disconnects from previous events. Deep sleep extends its influence over you. Upon the small bedside table fixed to the side of your bed rests a white porcelain teacup. It contains a warm infusion of herbs gathered in the mountain valleys. The steam rises in an almost invisible way into the air. The soft aroma of chamomile and lemon balm leaves blends delicately with the scent of the wood in the compartment. The cup measures exactly 8 centimeters in diameter and features a thin golden line on the rim. Everything is static upon the table. The liquid in the cup follows the subtle swaying of the train without spilling, maintaining a slow and predictable circular motion. It is a perfect balance of forces. The heat emanating from the porcelain begins to decrease gradually as the night progresses. There is no rush to consume the drink. The presence of the object there serves as a symbol of comfort. Your body absorbs this feeling of domestic care in the middle of the journey. The mind slows down its last active thoughts. Repose becomes the single priority of your being. The dark green velvet curtain guarding the window moves in a minimal way. The fabric is heavy and thick, designed to totally block out the light and the cold external drafts of air. The movement of the curtain is caused by the steady swaying of the carriage itself on the tracks. It moves 1 centimeter away from the wooden wall and returns to its original position in a repetitive cycle. With each sway, a thin line of silver moonlight enters the room and disappears right after. This play of soft shadows casts abstract shapes onto the ceiling of the compartment. There is no rush in this pendular motion. It matches the mechanical cadence of the steel wheels down below. Click-clack, click-clack. It is the continuous pulse of our nightly journey. Your eyes follow the slow rhythm of the fabric. Your eyelids become too heavy to remain open. The movement of the curtain functions as a definitive invitation to close your eyes. Above the train, the night sky displays an impressive clarity. Far from the lights of big cities, the stars shine with a steady and serene intensity. The Milky Way stretches out like a whitish band, the large clouds of white steam exiting the chimney of the locomotive rise slowly toward outer space. The steam glows under the moonlight before dissipating completely into the cold air. This process of dissipation is continuous and silent. The steam transforms into part of the mountain atmosphere. It leaves no traces, just a feeling of lightness and constant transformation. The motion of the train connects the firm earth to the vastness of the sky. You are part of this mechanical system moving forward in a peaceful way through space and time. Everything is connected in harmony. The vastness of the universe brings a comforting sense of smallness. Your daily worries become insignificant before this starry immensity. The mind frees itself from all bonds. The railway line enters a section where the tracks are laid upon new and dense wooden ties. The sound of the metal suddenly becomes muffled and much deeper. It is an almost whispered sound. The characteristic click-clack transforms into a soft and distant pulse. It is as if the train were sliding over a soft carpet of dry leaves and thin snow. The friction has been reduced to the lowest possible level. This acoustic dampening reduces any remaining sound stimulus in the environment. The silence gains a new layer of depth and texture. The insulation of your compartment is now absolute. The body responds to this decrease in sound by relaxing the last points of muscle tension. Your breathing becomes perfectly synchronous with the muffled rhythm of the train. Inhale. Exhale. You feel that you are floating along with the carriage through the dark and peaceful geography of the night. There are no barriers to your rest. Deep sleep has taken total control. The midnight hour is at its deepest and most silent point. The external thermometer reads several degrees below zero, creating tiny geometric ice crystals on the outer edges of the window glass. Inside the compartment, the heat from the iron radiator keeps the atmosphere perfectly cozy and stable. The light from the brass lamp has been reduced to a minimum, leaving only a golden twilight. The train continues moving forward in a linear and predictable way across the sleeping continent. It will not stop anytime soon. The journey will proceed safely for many hours until dawn. You do not need to monitor the path. You do not need to worry about the destination. The engineer takes care of the controls. The tracks guide the route. The physical world takes care of everything for you. Let yourself go completely into the eternal and hypnotic swaying of the carriage. Turn off the last lights of the mind. Surrender to the definitive rest. Sleep deeply. Sleep in peace. Welcome to this slow journey across the quiet sands of Giza. Tonight, there is nothing you need to do. Nothing you need to solve. Nowhere you need to be. For now, there is only the gentle movement of time. Ahead of us stretches the broad Egyptian plateau. The sun is beginning its gradual descent toward the horizon. golden light settles softly across the sand. In the distance stands a structure that is still unfinished. It is not simply a pyramid. It is the result of thousands of repeated days, thousands of small tasks, thousands of familiar motions, thousands of stones moved slowly into place. The air is dry. A steady breeze drifts across the desert. There is no hurry. The workers follow a simple rhythm. Pull, pause, breathe, pull again. The hemp ropes tighten slowly. Wooden sleds slide over carefully prepared sand. Each stone moves only a few inches at a time. No one seems concerned about speed. The project has been planned to last for decades. The builders understand something we often forget today. Great works grow slowly, stone by stone, day by day, year by year. As evening gradually approaches, you can simply observe the scene. The vast desert, the fading sky, and the patient beginning of what will one day become one of the greatest structures ever built by human hands. Long before a stone reaches Giza, its journey has already begun. Along the banks of the Nile, daily life moves at an unhurried pace. The same river, the same boats, the same gentle sounds of water. Workers begin their tasks at sunrise. First, they inspect the quarry blocks. Then they check simple measurements. Length, width, height. Each surface receives careful attention. Small imperfections are removed. Tiny excess edges are trimmed away. Nothing happens quickly. Most of the day is made up of repetition. Hammer, chisel, pause, hammer again. The sounds drift softly through the warm air. The boats wait quietly near the shore. Large and slow, designed to carry enormous quantities of stone. Egyptian records reveal a constant concern for organization. Lists, counts, inventories, simple notes. Everything must be in the correct place. Everything must arrive at the proper time. Even so, nobody rushes. The rhythm belongs to the river. The river follows its own schedule, and everyone seems content to accept it. As the colors of the sky slowly change, the stone blocks remain arranged in long rows, waiting, just as the desert seems to wait. Just as the future walls of the pyramid quietly await each new stone that has yet to arrive. Now we follow a single limestone block. Just one stone. One among millions. Its movement begins slowly. The sled is ready. The hemp ropes have been inspected. The sand surface has been carefully prepared. Some workers walk ahead. Others remain behind. Everyone knows their role. No motion is wasted. The team leader watches closely, not to increase speed, But to maintain consistency, the block begins to move. A little, very little, almost imperceptibly. Feet sink gently into the sand. The ropes grow tight. Shoulders carry the weight. The most noticeable sound is not human. It is the soft friction of the sled. A steady noise. Low. Repetitive. Almost hypnotic. The wind crosses the plateau. Late afternoon sunlight catches tiny particles of dust. Each step seems identical to the one before it, and to the one that follows. For hours, the landscape changes by only a few yards. The stone continues forward. Slowly, patiently, without dramatic interruptions, without remarkable events, only steady work, steady motion, steady time. One stone continues its journey, and someday, far in the future, it will find its permanent place within the vast geometry of the pyramid. Not every task involves moving stone. Some require only patience. A great deal of patience. In this area of the construction site, craftsmen work on blocks that have already been placed. Their goal is simple: to create smooth surfaces. Exceptionally smooth surfaces. The white limestone reflects the fading light of evening. Small tools glide across the stone. The movements are slow, precise, repeated countless times. A single surface may require days of attention, sometimes weeks. The craftsmen study the edges. They check alignments. They touch the stone with their hands. They feel the smallest differences. A few millimeters matter. Minor imperfections can affect the fit. So they work without haste. The dominant sounds are gentle. Scraping. Fine dust. Brushes. More scraping. The process seems almost endless. Yet this slowness is part of the design. The future pyramid will reflect sunlight. It will appear uniform. It will communicate stability. As the sky gradually darkens, the workers continue. Without anxiety. Without urgency. Only quiet repetition. Only silent dedication. And block by block, surface by surface, the great structure slowly begins to take on the appearance envisioned by its builders. The day is drawing to a close. The temperature begins to fall. The intense desert heat slowly fades away. A gentle breeze moves across the completed sections of the pyramid. The wind meets the stone, slides across it, flows around its edges, and continues across the plateau. The workers gradually slow their activities. Some organize tools, others inspect ropes. A few simply watch the horizon. The silence becomes more noticeable. The massive structure casts an ever-growing shadow. The the first stars begin to appear. Slowly, one after another, the construction itself remains still. Yet time continues working, even during the night, even when no one is pulling stones, even when the hammers are resting. Each completed layer represents countless hours of labor, countless steps, countless repetitions. The wind continues to blow, creating a soft sound against the stone surfaces, almost like breathing. Slow, steady, constant. Beneath the darkening sky of ancient Egypt, the pyramid continues to grow in silence. Not through grand moments, but through thousands of small moments that are nearly identical. And perhaps it is precisely that quiet repetition that makes its existence so remarkable. Before a new layer of stone can be placed, there is an even slower task. Measurement. The supervisors walk carefully across the work area. They carry marked ropes, wooden stakes, simple tools. Nothing appears complicated. Nothing appears extraordinary. Yet every line must remain correct. Every angle must be checked again, and again, and once more. The work takes place in near silence. The men study the alignment of the stones already in place. They stretch the ropes, adjust a few inches, verify the distance, quietly note the result. The process can occupy much of the day. Very little changes to the eye of a distant observer. But to the builders, every detail matters. A small difference near the base could become much larger higher up. That is why patience is so highly valued. The sun continues its gradual descent. Shadows stretch across the sand. The wind carries fine grains over the plateau. Meanwhile, the surveyors continue their routine. Observe, measure, check, repeat. The pyramid does not rise through strength alone. It rises through consistency, through precision, through countless quiet inspections. And so, as afternoon slowly fades away, another invisible stage of the project is completed. At a certain point in the day, the work begins to slow. The ropes rest. The sleds remain still. The workers seek shade, or simply sit upon prepared stone blocks. Large jars of water are shared among the crews. Now the most noticeable sound is the wind. The breeze moves through the open areas of the plateau, past stacks of limestone, past neatly arranged tools, past partially completed walls. The men speak very little. Most of the time is spent in quiet rest. Some watch the horizon. Others study the structure itself. One layer, then another, then one more. Its growth is so gradual that it almost seems invisible. Yet month after month, change continues. The blocks remain arranged in orderly rows. waiting for their turn, waiting for their moment. Everything appears to follow a calm order. No rushing, no visible pressure, only a steady sequence of similar days. The sun slowly warms the white stone. The stone gently returns some of that warmth to the air, and the afternoon continues on its way. Calm, predictable, repetitive, exactly like the routine supporting one of the greatest projects of the ancient world. The hemp ropes are an essential part of daily life here. They appear everywhere. On the sleds, near the stone blocks, along transportation routes, across construction ramps. Their appearance is simple, yet their presence is constant. Workers inspect every section. They check for wear. They examine the fibers. They replace damaged portions. Everything happens slowly, without urgency. The ropes are coiled, uncoiled, organized, reorganized. When the time comes to move a stone, dozens of hands hold the same line. The motion must remain steady. No one pulls too early. No one pulls too late. The rhythm is shared. The effort is shared as well. The sound of stretched fibers blends with the desert wind. It is a subtle sound, yet one repeated countless times over the years, perhaps millions of times. As the sky grows softer in color, another crew prepares another transport, another stone, another journey, another day much like the one before. The ropes continue performing their quiet duty, connecting workers, connecting strength, connecting patience, and helping transform a sandy plateau into one of the most enduring structures in human history. As the pyramid grows, the pathways change as well. The ramps become longer, higher, more extensive, yet they remain simple in their purpose. They are carefully prepared roads, nothing more. Workers move upward slowly. Every step requires attention. Every stone requires coordination. The route seems endless. From the bottom of the ramp to its destination, the climb proceeds steadily, without speed, without haste. The effort is spread across time. Compacted sand helps the sleds move. The slope is inspected regularly. Small adjustments are made. Minor corrections are completed. The goal remains unchanged: to allow the stone to advance, even if only slowly, very slowly. The wind blows against the side of the structure. The golden light of late afternoon highlights the shape of the ramp. Shadows create soft lines across its surface. Meanwhile, another block rises, and then another, and then one more. The repetition feels endless, yet it is precisely that repetition that creates progress. Step by step, layer by layer, the Great Pyramid continues its quiet ascent beneath the skies of ancient Egypt. Night returns to the plateau of Giza. The temperatures become more comfortable. The heat of the day lingers only as a distant memory. The moon begins its slow rise. Its light touches the limestone surfaces. Some areas reflect a gentle glow. Others remain hidden in shadow. The contrast is calm, delicate, quiet. The workers finish their tasks. Tools are stored away. Ropes are neatly coiled. Work areas are organized for the following day. Everything follows a familiar order, a routine repeated countless times. The wind continues to blow across the ramps, across the stone blocks, across the walls that continue to grow. The stars multiply in the dark sky. The construction appears to sleep, but only appears to, because tomorrow the process will begin again. More measurements, more transportation, more polishing, more alignments, the same gestures, the same sounds, the same slow movements. And so, beneath the peaceful light of the moon, the pyramid remains still, waiting for another sunrise, waiting for another day of patient work, waiting for another nearly invisible step forward. One of thousands that together will create something destined to endure for centuries. Beside the pyramid exists a world of waiting. Hundreds of stone blocks rest in orderly rows. Some arrived recently. Others have been waiting for days. Each one has a specific destination. But the moment has not yet come. The area feels peaceful, almost silent. Workers move slowly among the stones. They examine surfaces, check dimensions, remove tiny imperfections. Each block receives individual attention, even though it is only one among thousands. The white limestone gathers a thin layer of desert dust. The wind blows continuously, softly, steadily. In the distance, the pyramid rises layer by layer. But here among the organized stacks, time seems slower. The blocks remain motionless. The sun crosses the sky. The shadows shift gradually, and the stones continue waiting. Patience is part of construction. Not every task requires movement. Sometimes contributing to a monumental project means simply waiting. Waiting for transportation. Waiting for surveyors. Waiting for craftsmen. Waiting for the next stage. And so, as the afternoon slowly progresses, hundreds of blocks remain arranged in perfect order, quietly prepared for the day they will ascend into the heights of the Great Pyramid. Some of the most time-consuming tasks cannot be seen from a distance. They take place between the stones, in the small spaces, in the nearly invisible joints. The craftsmen approach the blocks carefully. They study the connections, run their hands across the surfaces, feel the smallest differences, tiny rises, tiny depressions, tiny details requiring adjustment. The work is slow, exceptionally slow. Simple tools create quiet sounds, gentle scraping, light taps, more scraping. The men repeat the same motions countless times, without haste, without distraction. The goal is not speed, it is precision. Each surface must meet the next with the greatest possible consistency. Meanwhile, the sky gradually darkens. The first torches are lit. Their glow dances across the pale stone, creating soft shadows, revealing delicate textures. The wind continues to blow, blending with the peaceful sounds of work. And so the hours pass. One small correction, then another, then one more, until two blocks seem to belong together, as though they had always been joined. In certain areas of the plateau, another routine unfolds each day. The transportation of water. Large containers arrive slowly, carried by teams accustomed to repetition. The water serves an important purpose. It helps prepare the sand. A thin layer of moisture reduces resistance beneath the sleds. The process seems simple, yet it requires constant organization. First, the water is distributed. Then the surface is inspected. After that, additional amounts are applied when needed. Nothing excessive, nothing insufficient, only what is required. The workers know this task well. They perform every step naturally, just as they did yesterday, just as they will tomorrow. The sound of water mixing with sand is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet it is part of the landscape. Just like the wind, just like footsteps, just like the sliding of sleds. The sun slowly approaches the horizon. Its golden light covers the plateau. The containers continue moving. The sand continues being prepared. And the stones continue advancing. Little by little, inch by inch, in a process so steady it seems to have neither beginning nor end. Only continuity. As the pyramid rises, perspective begins to change. The higher levels offer a different view of the world. From above, the workers appear small. The sleds appear small. Even the massive stones seem smaller. The desert stretches in every direction. Silent, vast, unchanged. The builders observe the landscape while continuing their work. The height increases slowly, very slowly, one layer at a time. Each new level requires the same procedures, the same inspections, the same measurements, the same careful movements. Nothing changes quickly. That predictability brings a sense of calm. Everyone knows the sequence. Everyone knows the routine. Late day sunlight spreads across the horizon. The shadows grow long. The lines of the structure become more defined. The wind reaches the higher areas with ease, creating a continuous sound. Soft, steady. As evening approaches, the workers complete a few more tasks. Small tasks, almost invisible tasks, yet essential ones. Because the pyramid does not grow through dramatic events. It grows through countless simple moments repeated over many years. Night has returned once again, and with it comes a familiar sense of calm. The activity gradually slows. Tools find their places. Ropes are stored away. The pathways become empty. Moonlight illuminates sections of the structure. Some stones reflect its glow. Others disappear into darkness. The contrast is gentle. Without drama. Without interruption. Only peace. The workers slowly leave the construction areas behind. The day is finished, yet the project remains. Motionless, silent, patient. The wind moves across the limestone surfaces, creating an almost constant sound. A sound that was present yesterday. A sound that is present today. And a sound that will likely be present tomorrow. The stars occupy more and more of the sky. The temperature continues to fall. The desert becomes more comfortable. The pyramid stands quietly beneath the night. Still unfinished, yet slightly taller than before. Slightly closer to its final form. And while the plateau rests beneath the stars, time continues moving forward slowly, exactly as it always has. Even before the sun fully rises, the plateau begins to awaken. Not suddenly, not noisily, but slowly. Very slowly. The shadows of night still linger across parts of the landscape. The gentle light of dawn begins to touch the aligned stone blocks. The rows of limestone seem endless. Each stone occupies a carefully planned position. Nothing is out of place. Nothing has been left to chance. The workers arrive gradually. They walk calmly. They observe the work completed the day before. They review what will be done today. The routine is familiar. Comfortably familiar. The stones wait. The tools wait. The ropes wait. Even the desert seems to wait. The morning wind is cooler, lighter, quieter. As the brightness slowly increases, the first movements begin. One stone is inspected. Another is measured. Another receives minor adjustments. Nothing feels urgent. Nothing requires speed. Everything follows a predictable rhythm. The same rhythm that has guided construction for years, and will continue guiding it for many years to come. A peaceful sequence of simple tasks, repeated day after day, beneath the vast skies of ancient Egypt. Not every builder works with stone. Some work with records, with numbers, with lists, with counts. Near the storage areas, scribes carefully observe the daily movement of the project. Each delivery is recorded. Each shipment is noted. Each detail finds its place. The work appears simple, yet it occupies many hours. The scribes sit quietly. Papyrus scrolls remain neatly arranged beside them. Calculations are repeated. Verifications are repeated as well. A quantity is checked, then checked again. Consistency is important. Precision is important too. Meanwhile, construction continues around them. Sleds move slowly forward. Workers transport materials. Craftsmen adjust surfaces. Yet the scribes remain within their calm rhythm. Writing, checking, recording. One more line, then another, then one more. The sound of papyrus being handled blends with the gentle sounds of the plateau. Everything feels organized. Everything feels predictable. And this quiet organization helps support a project that will require thousands of similar days before reaching its final form. The time arrives to position another stone block. The operation begins slowly. Like all the others, the sled approaches the destination area. Workers carefully study the available space. There is no hurry. There is no improvisation. Everything follows familiar steps. First comes alignment, then positioning, then minor adjustments. The stone advances a few inches, then stops. It advances again, then stops once more. Every movement is observed. Every detail receives attention. Supervisors monitor the process, not to increase speed, but to ensure consistency. The wind moves across the structure. The sun continues its gradual descent. The shadows shift position. Meanwhile, the stone approaches its final place, inch by inch, with extraordinary patience. At last, the block settles upon the completed layer. Nothing dramatic happens. No celebration. Only continuation. Because tomorrow there will be another block. Then another. Then many more. And so, through thousands of similar moments, the pyramid continues rising quietly above the sands of Giza. The outer casing requires special attention. The stones destined for the visible surface receive careful treatment. Very careful treatment. The craftsmen spend long periods working on the same areas. Polishing, observing, Polishing again. The evening light reveals small differences. Tiny marks. Minor irregularities. Small details that still need to disappear. The white limestone begins reflecting the golden glow of the sun. Even unfinished, the structure already hints at its future appearance. Workers run their hands across the surfaces. They feel the texture. They feel the temperature of the stone. They feel the changes created by their own work. The dominant sounds remain gentle. Brushes, delicate tools, wind, silence. The hours pass slowly, and the motions remain nearly the same. One more pass, one more adjustment, one more polishing. The process seems endless, yet nobody appears impatient. Slowness is part of the project, just as repetition is, just as care is. And as the sun gradually disappears beyond the horizon, the glow of the stones becomes softer beneath the peaceful light of evening. Another night settles across the plateau. Another night much like those before it. The dark sky stretches above the construction site. Thousands of stars shine quietly overhead. The moon illuminates part of the pyramid. The pale surfaces reflect its gentle light. The deeper areas remain in shadow. The contrast feels motionless, almost timeless. The wind travels across the stone walls, past the corners, past the ramps, past the pathways used during the day. No workers remain active. The tools are resting. The ropes are resting. The sleds are resting. Yet the structure remains, dominating the landscape. Silent, peaceful, patient. Each layer represents countless hours of repeated effort. Each stone represents a slow journey across the desert. Each surface represents days of careful attention. Now everything rests beneath the stars, waiting for the next sunrise, waiting for the continuation of a routine that seems endless. A routine made of small actions, small advances, small changes, which, over the years, transform stone, time, and patience into something destined to endure for millennia. A new sunrise arrives at Giza. One more among thousands. The horizon slowly begins to brighten. First come soft shades of blue. Then bands of gold appear. Soon sunlight returns to the plateau. The workers resume their familiar positions. The ropes are uncoiled. The tools are arranged. The sleds are prepared. Nothing seems different from the day before. And that is exactly why everything works. Repetition creates stability. Stability creates progress. Another stone begins its journey up the ramp. The men walk together, step by step, without rushing, without deviation. The block moves slowly, very slowly, The morning wind crosses the construction site. The sand remains peaceful beneath the growing light. Far away, the Nile continues its course, just as it did yesterday, just as it always has. The pyramid receives another small contribution, a contribution that is almost invisible, yet necessary, because every great structure is built from countless small actions. And on this quiet morning, another one of those actions begins its silent journey toward the summit. In the completed sections of the pyramid, another kind of work continues. Inspection. The builders carefully observe the lines of the structure, the corners, the edges, the surfaces. Everything receives attention. The men walk slowly along the finished areas. They stop, observe, continue, then observe again. The process requires patience, but patience has become a natural part of daily life. The afternoon light highlights the geometric contours of the structure. The lines appear simple, yet they were created through thousands of inspections, thousands of measurements, thousands of adjustments. The wind blows steadily, creating a soft sound as it passes over the stone. A familiar sound, a sound present during nearly every stage of construction. Meanwhile, the inspectors continue their route. They are not seeking speed. They are not seeking novelty. They are seeking consistency. And that is exactly what they find. Layer after layer, block after block, the same regularity, the same precision, the same calm, as though the pyramid itself were offering a quiet lesson about the value of time and continuity. The sun once again approaches the horizon. Shadows stretch across the plateau. The pyramid casts its shape over the golden sand. The workers continue their tasks, but the pace gradually slows. Another day is nearing its end. Another day much like the ones before it, and perhaps much like the ones still to come. The construction appears almost motionless, but only appears to, because every day adds something. A stone, a measurement, a polished surface, a corrected alignment, small advances, nearly invisible advances. The wind moves through the work areas, lifting fine grains of sand. Golden light highlights the completed layers. Each one represents countless hours of quiet dedication. No great event, no dramatic moment, only steady work. Regular, predictable. As the sky slowly changes color, the pyramid continues growing. Not quickly, but inevitably, like the passage of time itself. Slow, continuous, impossible to stop. Night once again settles over the desert, but something feels different. The pyramid stands taller, closer to its final form. There is still work to be done. Much work. Yet the progress has become visible. Moonlight illuminates the pale surfaces. The stones reflect a gentle glow. The lines of the structure stand out against the dark sky. The wind continues its familiar journey. Across the walls, around the corners, along the ramps. The same wind that accompanied the first stones. The same wind that will continue blowing long after the project is complete. The landscape remains peaceful, silent, serene. The stars fill the sky. The structure rests beneath their distant light. For a few moments, everything seems still, as though time itself has slowed even further. Yet it continues moving forward, always moving forward, just as the construction does, just as the seasons do, just as the Nile does. And beneath this calm night, the Great Pyramid slowly approaches the future envisioned by its builders many years before. At last, we arrive at the end of this long and peaceful journey. Before us stands the Great Pyramid, complete, silent, motionless. Yet its story is not made of grand moments. It is made of repetition, of small tasks, of similar days, of similar years. Millions of quiet actions contributed to this result. Millions of footsteps across the sand. Millions of pulls on hemp ropes. Millions of careful inspections. Now everything appears simple. A geometric form resting beneath the stars. Yet within that simplicity lies a profound story of patience. The wind continues moving across the stone, perhaps exactly as it did at the beginning of construction. Moonlight illuminates the polished surfaces. The shadows remain soft. The desert remains peaceful. And time continues on its journey. Century after century. Year after year. As you observe this serene scene, you can imagine the silence of the Egyptian night. The distant sound of the wind. The calm of the stone. The stability of something built slowly, very slowly. And now, beneath the star-filled sky of Giza, the Great Pyramid rests peacefully, just as the desert does, just as the night does, and perhaps just as your mind does in this moment.